The world once believed that wealth lived only in castles, crowns, and European kingdoms. But far from Europe's stone walls and cold skies, beneath the burning sun of Africa, a city rose that would quietly outshine them all. This was not a myth. This was not a legend. This was a real city, richer than Europe for centuries. While Europe struggled with famine, war, and forgotten knowledge, this city flourished with gold, wisdom, and power. Its name would one day fade from common memory, but its influence shaped the world. Hidden at the crossroads of ancient trade routes, the city became the beating heart of commerce. Caravans arrived endlessly, stretching across deserts like rivers of sand. Camels carried gold, salt, ivory, silk, and manuscripts, treasures worth more than entire European kingdoms. Gold was so common here that it lost its rarity. What Europe fought wars to obtain, this city treated as ordinary. Merchants spoke in dozens of languages. Deals were made under open skies. Markets overflowed with goods from lands most Europeans had never heard of. But wealth was only part of the story. This city became a sanctuary of knowledge in a world drowning in ignorance. Great libraries stood tall, filled with handwritten books on astronomy, medicine, mathematics, philosophy, and law. While much of Europe burned books, this city preserved them. While others feared knowledge, this city worshipped it. Scholars traveled from distant lands, drawn by a reputation that spread quietly across continents. Here, learning was power, and power was respected. At the center of this golden world stood rulers whose wealth defied imagination. Kings whose generosity reshaped economies beyond their borders. One ruler's journey alone flooded foreign markets with so much gold that it altered global prices. Europe heard rumors. Stories of a city where gold paved the future. A place richer than their entire world combined. Yet despite its dominance, this city did not seek conquest. It ruled not by fear, but by influence. Trade routes bowed to it. Knowledge flowed from it. History turned because of it. But no empire, no matter how powerful, escapes time. Slowly, the world began to change. Trade routes shifted. Foreign interests grew greedy. Internal struggles weakened foundations once thought unbreakable. The wealth that once flowed like rivers began to dry. The scholars left. The markets fell silent. The city did not fall in a single moment. It faded, quietly, painfully, invisibly. Sand-covered roads, once walked by kings. Libraries closed their doors. And history moved on without looking back. Centuries later, explorers and historians would uncover fragments of a forgotten truth. Manuscripts buried in homes. Ruins whispering stories of unmatched greatness. The world would finally realize something uncomfortable. Europe was not always the center of wealth. Europe was not always the center of knowledge. And history had chosen what to remember. This city was richer than Europe for 500 years. Not because of conquest, not because of cruelty, but because it valued trade, learning, and vision. And its greatest tragedy was not its fall, but that the world was never taught its name. History tells us that Europe built the world. That wealth, power, and progress began behind stone castles and crowned kings. But history does not always tell the truth. Long before Europe rose to dominate the globe, a city in Africa quietly ruled the world's economy. A city so wealthy, so advanced, that Europe could not compare. For generations, this city did not announce itself with armies. It did not carve its name with blood. Instead, it ruled through gold, trade, and knowledge. At the center of vast desert routes, the city became a meeting point of the known world. Every road that mattered eventually led here. Gold from deep mines. Salt from endless deserts. Ideas from brilliant minds. Everything passed through this city. Its markets were alive with movement. Merchants from distant lands, strangers becoming partners, deals shaping the fate of nations without a single sword drawn. In Europe, gold was locked behind castle walls. Here, gold moved freely. So freely that travelers rode in disbelief, describing a city where gold was exchanged like dust, where wealth felt endless. But what made this city truly powerful was not what could be bought. It was what could be learned. While Europe struggled to read its past, this city preserved humanity's future. Libraries filled with thousands of handwritten books stood proudly. Scholars debated the stars, healed the sick, calculated the unseen. Knowledge was not feared. It was celebrated. A person's worth was not measured by bloodline, but by wisdom. The rulers understood something rare, that an educated society is stronger than an armed one. Yet this greatness came with a cost. The world noticed. Foreign powers grew curious, then jealous. Stories of endless gold reached ears that listened too closely. Trade slowly turned into competition. Curiosity turned into hunger. Inside the city, cracks began to form. Political tension, struggles for control, decisions that weakened what generations had built. The city did not collapse in flames. It collapsed in silence. Trade routes shifted away. Scholars left in search of stability. Gold no longer flowed like before. And then the world moved on. Europe rose. New empires wrote new histories. And this city, once the richest on earth, became a footnote, if mentioned at all. Not because it lacked greatness, but because it did not fit the story others wanted to tell. Centuries later, historians would uncover fragments, manuscripts hidden in private homes, maps that revealed forgotten routes, ruins that whispered of unmatched prosperity. Only then did the truth begin to surface. That for hundreds of years, Europe was not the center of the world. That Africa held cities of gold, learning, and power. And that history is often written by those who arrive last. This city was